This is a really bad story and a really bad script. It's all over the place tonally. It doesn't know what it wants to be. I was getting whiplash from the inconsistent tones. And again, the plot twists in this movie just don't seem to end. It's like Vaughn was a little kid saying, then this happens, and then that happens, and then at the end, this is going to happen at the end. I mean, M. Night Shyamalan himself would be embarrassed by these twists.
What a twist!
And I think even he would say, stop it. Stop it right now. You're being ridiculous. So, I feel like Matthew Vaughn, as a filmmaker, has been in a creative rut for quite some time now. I know a lot of people are fans of his work. I mean, most reviews on YouTube for this movie, for Argylle, are probably all starting off by saying, I'm a big fan of Matthew Vaughn as a director. And to be perfectly honest with you guys, I'm just not. I do like several films of his, like Layer Cake and Kick-Ass and Kingsman. The first Kingsman, that is. But outside of that, I just haven't been a big fan of his other directorial efforts over the last 20 years. And he's been in this creative rut for quite some time now, a decade at this point, of just making Kingsman movies, trying to make Kingsman a thing. But after those last two bad Kingsman movies, I just don't want more of these films anymore. I don't think anyone does. They're just not working for me. But he's so insistent on forcing these movies down our throats. And now he has this new film, Argylle, which looks like it's just, more of the same. Kingsman in all but name. But, for those that need a synopsis for Argylle, an awkward and shy writer of popular spy novels finds herself embroiled in a real-world espionage tale when a global spy syndicate realizes the plots of her books mirror real-world events in real time. Now, again, for the last 20 years or so that Matthew Vaughn has been directing movies, it's very obvious that he has an intense love and infatuation for the spy thrillers of the 60s and 70s. All of his films, whether they be Layer Cake or even X-Men First Class, seem to incorporate elements from classic Sean Connery or Roger Moore Bond movies. I'm a big fan of those movies too. And many of my favorite spy movies are from those respective eras of Bond. But Vaughn has become so hyper obsessive over those movies. And he seems to be taking that obsessiveness and applying it to all aspects of his filmmaking in films. Most obviously with these Kingsman movies he's been making for the last 10 years. I haven't really cared for that, but I was initially happy that he seemed to be moving on from Kingsman when it was announced that he was going to do a new film, that film being Argylle. Cool. Let's see something new. But after seeing the trailer for Argylle many times, I was like, this is Kingsman again. From the production design to the cinematography, the choreography, and the humor, it just reeked of Kingsman. And again, I grew to hate, to despise the Argylle trailer. It was in front of every movie that I've seen what feels like the last 5 months, 6 months, the last half a year, probably half a year, incessantly reminding me that it was coming out. But I finally seen it. And this movie is everything that I and others had a sneaking suspicion that it was going to be. It's just another Kingsman movie again in terms of its story, characters, and style. But it has one thing that makes it stand out from those other films, and that is the fact that it's easily the worst movie out of all these Kingsman films. This movie is a complete mess across the board. In terms of the things I liked, I thought Sam Rockwell was the best character in the film. Rockwell is of course, a great actor. And that comes across in his performance as the secret agent Aiden in the movie. He has the charm of a film spy. He's funny, and some of the action scenes that he has are quite solid. Bryce Dallas Howard is probably the second best thing about the film. She does have some chemistry with Rockwell, and they have a bit of a romancing the stone kind of chemistry to me. It reminded me a little bit of like Michael Douglas and Kathleen Turner. It has that vibe, their relationship. But not everything that's written for her is great though, and her story and the multitude of plot twists that involve her and other characters are just dumb, are just really, really stupid, and feel so unnecessary. This is a really bad story and a really bad script. It's all over the place tonally. It doesn't know what it wants to be. I was getting whiplash from the inconsistent tones, and again, the plot twists in this movie just don't seem to end. It's like Vaughn was a little kid saying, then this happens, and then that happens, and then at the end, this is going to happen at the end. I mean, M. Night Shyamalan himself would be embarrassed by these twists.
What a twist!
And I think even he would say, stop it. Stop it right now. You're being ridiculous. The rest of this all-star cast is also criminally underused across the board, from Bryan Cranston to Samuel L. Jackson. It just feels like they were there to collect a check. And anyone excited for Henry Cavill as Agent Argylle, which the movie's marketing kept pushing as the lead for this film, you're going to end up disappointed. He's barely in the movie. And how they sometimes use him is utterly bizarre. The film kind of explains why he pops up occasionally, but like I said, it's always inconsistent when he pops up and feels weird and out of place. And speaking of inconsistent, the action scenes, the CGI, and the rampant use of green screen are not very good. They're downright terrible. Vaughn has always been praised, for his action. But I personally feel like he's never been able to do anything nearly as good as the church fight in the first Kingsman movie. And he's just been trying to top himself, in my opinion, in the worst ways possible, by incorporating just every trick in the book, every gimmick he possibly can, using CGI, green screen, slow motion, you name it. And it's so big and bombastic and overproduced. That's what I would describe this movie. One of the best terms to describe this movie is overproduced. That it just ends up looking really fake and really bland and really bad. There are so many shots in this movie where characters are supposed to be in this country or in that country or in this foreign, exotic location, and it's so obvious that they're standing in front of a green screen. I feel like you can even see the green halo across Henry Cavill's enormous 5-head and hairstyle in the film. In the end, I think this movie represents everything wrong with Matthew Vaughn as a filmmaker right now. I've complained about filmmakers becoming grotesquely overindulgent over the last several years. And for Vaughn, Argylle is that movie for him. It's also, God, I'm tired of these unnecessary long movies. This movie is way too long. It's nearly 2.5 hours, and it does not need to be at all. And it makes it feel even more bloated and sluggish. I don't know if there's like any spy movie out there, chat, that needs to be over 2.5 hours. That was like one of my big problems with the last Bond movie, No Time to Die. It's like, why is this movie so long? It doesn't need to be. You can cut so much out. And if they cut out half the plot twist, which they should, because all of them are really stupid, then you can save us a lot of time and have like a pretty, at least it still looked like shit, but it'll be a lot tighter and probably be under 2 hours, maybe a good hour 45, maybe an hour 50-minute movie right there if you cut out all this unnecessary garbage. The last thing I'll say, the thing that made me scoff is the post-credits scene. And this is a spoiler, for the end of the movie. So if you want to see it and you don't want to know what happens at the very end, maybe mute me now and come back in a bit.
Oh my God! Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm.
What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure?
Stay calm!
I'm going to let you guys know. Do you guys care if I spoil the post-credit scene for Argylle? I mean, I'll tell you right now, chat. There was hardly anybody in the theater. No one's going to see this movie. Like, at all. But some people are muting now. Come back in a bit, chat. I got to really articulate why I feel like this movie is such a miss. I have to reveal what's wrong with it. It's revealed that not only is Henry Cavill's fictional character of Argylle actually real, but he's in fact a Kingsman agent, and this entire movie takes place within the Kingsman universe the whole time. And I'm like, come the fuck on. He cannot let it go. He's insistent on trying to make Kingsman a thing. I'm just like, listen, I, like everyone else, really enjoyed, or most people, really enjoyed the original Kingsman movie. It was a very fun film. But I'm sorry. Like, Kingsman 2 was terrible. The third Kingsman, the Kingsman 3, whatever the fuck it was called, that movie was bad too, all right? And he seems dead on of just like, no. You guys don't understand how great these Kingsman movies are, so I'm going to trick everyone and make another Kingsman movie, except I'm not going to call it, it's Kingsman, chat. It's literally Kingsman again. Henry is like, we see like everything from those original movies. Like, stop it. And it just so happens, it's just the worst Kingsman movie yet. And I'm done with it. This is going to kill it. I would honestly be shocked if he continues on with this franchise. This is going to be a huge bomb. This is going to be one of the biggest bombs this year, and I think because of that, studios are going to get really cold feet. Wherever the studio that financed this film is going to get cold feet, and thankfully, we'll finally get the kibosh on the Kingsman shared universe that Matthew Vaughn has been trying to make happen for years. I think this film finally killed it, and for that. Thank you, Argylle. Thank you so much for finally killing this overrated franchise. It could have been great. I imagine, but after Kingsman 2 and Kingsman 3, and with this fourth film, I don't want to see a reference to Kingsman. I don't want to see any of these characters or this universe ever again, because it just keeps getting worse. Also, and this is just an aside, but Matthew Vaughn has, in my opinion, just a big goddamn mouth. And I think he needs to take a step back and stop talking for once. I think in his effort to kind of drum up excitement for Henry Cavill as Argylle, who's barely in the movie and is a lackluster version of James Bond, he's been going around and saying that, like, Martin Campbell and everyone else preferred Henry Cavill's audition for James Bond over Daniel Craig's for Casino Royale. And Matthew, I think The Flash is really good Vaughn. I think The Flash is a very special film. Vaughn is kind of shitting on an actor, in my opinion, that got his directing career started with Layer Cake. It just feels like another concerted effort to make Henry Cavill a thing now for the last 15 years. And I guess he's just, in a way, attempting to do it. But I don't know why you got to put down, like, Daniel Craig in order to do that and say, like, oh, this is the guy that should have been James Bond. I don't know. To me, it just felt like a desperate move and very, very try hard to me. So I would probably tell Mr. Vaughn, hey, sir, I think you probably should stop doing that and let your film stand on its own merits. I mean, he doesn't really have that many. But, I mean, I don't know why you got to put down other actors and say, like, oh, but Henry Cavill's my man. That's the guy that should have been James Bond the entire time. It's like, dude, stop. You're sounding obnoxious. In any case, Argylle is terrible. and it's probably the worst movie I've seen since January's haunted pool movie Night Swim. But I'm curious though, for other people that have seen the movie. I mean, what did you guys think? Did you actually like the film, or were you more like me, where you thought it was awful? Or are you more mixed on the movie? Do you want to see more of these Kingsman films from Matthew Vaughn? He seems dead set on making Kingsman a thing, and I guess also combining Kick-Ass into his Kingsman universe. I don't really want any of that. What I want from Matthew Vaughn, honestly, one, for him to take a long break at this point, but I want him to make a movie with no spy references at all. I don't want him to pay homage to any of the Connery era, Roger Moore era Bond movies that he grew up with and loved. I want him to do something completely different. He needs to do that right now because he has been, again, in this creative rut. He has had this mindset for so long, and it's making his filmmaking worse. He's becoming more grotesquely indulgent. He's becoming more grotesquely obnoxious, in my opinion. And he needs to move on from it because it's just not working. And with this movie, obviously critically being maligned, but with it it's going to underperform significantly. It's going to be one of the biggest box office flops of the year, of the new year so far in 2024. He's going to have to rethink a lot, and I hope he takes the time to do so and work on something new. I would like that. But again, what did you guys think of the movie? Let me know.